Morning, ladies and gentlemen. We're on agenda item 1. Going to call this meeting to order. I call this quarterly meeting of the Veteran Services Advisory Committee meeting to order, and I have 10:02. Let's then go to our roll call. Sarah Henley. See you on the yeah.
Yep,
She probably
I'm
had
here.
no mute. All right. See Sarah. I see Lee on camera. That's 2. Lee Rivas. Greg Gomer is moving again. Jim Brennan, not here. Jim Cunningham,
Here.
Larry Wallace,
Here.
Kitty Myers, not here. And myself, Earl Newsom. We do have 5, so we do have a quorum.
Yay.
Yeah. Yes, Mr. Cunningham, since you have the bright American flag behind you, would you do the Pledge of Allegiance for us?
All right, there it is. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir.
Uh,
We're now on agenda item 3, public comment. At this time, I open the floor to any members of the public who wish to address the advisory committee on matters on this purview. Please limit your comments to no more than 5 minutes. Please remember at this time, the advisory committee, please remember at this time, the committee will consider your comments. Any discussion or deliberation by the commission for matters not posted on the agenda must be limited to a proposal to place the subject on later agenda items, to be confined to statements or information or existing policy regarding the subject. Do we have any public comments?
I did not receive any public comment requests.
Is anyone on the call?
We do not have any one outside of the committee on the call.
No one besides committee on the call. That moves us down then to item agenda 4. We'll approve the minutes for the Veteran Services Advisory Committee meeting, minutes from August the 9th, 2023 and February the 12th, 2024. Committee members, are there any questions on the minutes?
I move they be accepted as written.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second it. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, you put Larry as second. He was fastest. Any discussion? Any discussion on the minutes? If there's no discussion, I'll put the motion to approve. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. The minutes are approved. Thank you. Agenda item 5 is the announcement of a nominated committee member replacing Angela. Would you like to tell us who that is?
Tomorrow, for consideration, the commission will be considering Holly Morrison, who is a veteran, and she also serves as a veterans chair for college now. Of course, I've forgotten the name of the college now that I've stepped away from the podium. But again, she's a veteran who has been serving as the military affairs and veteran affairs liaison at her college. So that is on the consent agenda, so expected to pass. But of course, that is always up to the commission to make that decision. So hopefully Holly Morrison will be joining us at our next regularly scheduled advisory committee meeting.
Angela, what service did she serve in? What service?
Do you remember, Cindy, what branch
branch?
you served in? I know I've got a resume. I can look that up and come right back to you.
Okay, thank you.
We look forward to having our new member. That moves us down to agenda item 6. We'll be discussing the veteran entrepreneur program, and you should have in your possession our historical documents where we had the 2 subcommittee meetings. And at the bottom of those notes for each one of them, we have our recommendations. The first one I'd like to go through is the one that you see that's Veteran Verification Letter Process Subcommittee minutes. The minutes are at the top there. And then we have 4 recommendations listed at the bottom of that page. So are there any questions on what we had from you on those 4 recommendations that we had at the bottom of the page there? The only one I had was, that number 3 question I had, it said review the responses from old emails, change the verbiage and highlight the sentence advising or redirecting to the website. I don't remember what we were really talking about on that. You guys? Silence. So those 3 seem to be pretty clear that the only recommendations we had, we were gonna recommend acknowledgement of the improvements. The second one, that recommending shutting down the email contact points to avoid adding additional requests for this, via this route. And number 4, on that, develop a responsive automated or directly to requests acknowledge an application with a case number. So do you agree with, basically having those 3, taking number 3 off as a recommendation that we're submitted for comment? Discussion,
I'd say so.
okay. All right, so, let's do these individually. Let's vote on the recommendations for the process committee. Any comments? I have a motion for submitting these as to the TVC for approval and comment.
So moved.
Or comment. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? And we'll have those as the 3 that's submitted to as being the committee's final approved recommendations for the process. The second one we had there was the communications committee. And we had in there, if you look at the bottom of the page, we had 6 recommendations in there. Any questions or comment on those 6 that we were considering submitted for approval or / comment from this PBC?
No change.
No change. The only one I had, and that's what you got late yesterday as a change, was adding one more. If you go, well, one thing I want to say, you guys probably have noticed if you looked at the TVC webpage, there's been a lot of changes to the webpage since last time we looked at it. It's a whole lot of stuff on there. I was talking to Mr. Rivas this morning on the way in, and he said, there's a lot of stuff. It is a lot of stuff. But if someone takes the time and goes through, they'll be able to find most of what they want. And I think it's a pretty good effort that TVC has had. And I want to recognize that the website is vastly more user friendly for folks out there. One of the things when I went to the entrepreneur program, since we were looking at that, if you see the tabs that they have there for the entrepreneur program, you've got several major areas. This is under entrepreneurs, is connect with business consultants, veteran verification letter, veteran-owned business logo, business resources, and TVC Hub program. And I thought about Larry as I was reading through those. And I said, this is all good stuff. But I remember one of the things that Larry talked about and others talked about is one of the reasons people want to get into the entrepreneur program is to make money. And if you remember our previous discussion, we asked did they have a veterans preference for state contracts, and we were told yes. So as I was going through there, the handout you got today talks about comptroller from Texas, the Texas comptroller. There is a thing in there on how to receive state bid opportunities, where basically you can go pay your $70 and go online. And if you're a business, approved business, then you get notice of contracts that you can bid for. And Hub is already, the handout that you got talked about Hub at the bottom, and Hub is one of those tabs in there. And I was recommending adding to those things on the communication for the website to put that information in about how to get a bid. Does that make sense to you folks?
Definitely, I agree.
Okay, I see heads nodding and agree. So that's my discussion. So I would like to accept have a motion to submit the recommendations we have, including adding the information about bids to the website. Any question on that?
If we add that, are there other things that probably need to be added as well? You know, I guess how much of additional information do we want to have added on there? Or, you know, because I'm thinking of stuff like, you know, you have the IVMF through Syracuse University that has their entrepreneurship camp for post 9/11 individuals that's free if they get selected, right? To be able to go through. And they also get a entrepreneurship type of certification. You have I don't think it's Angie's List, but it's some other organization too that you can sign up, and it highlights, you know, being a veteran, and you can get a logo from them as well. So you know, not to open a can of Pandora's box of worms, but how much information and what information, you know, needs to also be highlighted under the entrepreneurship section.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from, and the website is a living document, and if something really comes up as something that could be added, you know, again, because it's a living document, something could be added all along. I was mainly focusing on things that came under the purview of the state, where you had, you know, because this goes up to the governor and the commission. And what I saw this is a labor neutral thing for TBC, because it's the state comptroller that has the website that collects the money. So if you know, and it's a state rule already that you give a vet preference, so TBC doesn't have to do anything but say, see that y'all, there it is. And the state comptroller would be the one that would be tracking the veterans that applied for those contracts. So so that's, you know, I didn't dig any more in there, but again, trying to include it on what the commissioners could ask for input. So the commissioners seeing this could hit up the state comptroller to say, hey, you know, they got that on the website, and instead of asking TBC to see if veterans are getting bids, you go to the comptroller, since it's his or her website, and they could track it. So this is not limiting what would go on the website. This is just an additional recommendation for us to say, again, something that you can control within TBC to add this on there and get some response from another state agency. So does that answer the question?
Yeah, no issues on my end. Fully supportive.
Okay. All right. So can I hear a motion to submit these recommendations with the addition of the information on the bidding information to TBC? Okay, motion.
I so move.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So those will be our recommendations submitted to the VEP for our recommendations for them to review and give us a response on how they think that would work. Okay. Moving right along. We're now on agenda item 7, which is talking about outreach to veterans over 55.
Wow, you're talking about me.
Actually, almost double with you over 55, but anyway, one thing I noticed, you guys know I always dig in Google. I found a review of demographics on Texas veterans that the state had out there. And just to talk about who this target group is when we're saying over 55, the information I saw on the fact sheet, and I can leave this to Angela so she could post it as part of the minutes. What it basically showed was 37% of the vet labor force in Texas was 55 and over. So that's a fairly good sized folks who are out there. And since many of us are above that 55 thing, you know, as things take over your life, you get married, you have the kids, you find a job, you get the subsequent job and all that. As veterans get out of the military, life takes over things, and they may forget us about some of those benefits that could help them, especially when you talk about that 55 and above. That's when you're looking at that tail end and trying to think about how you're going to take care of yourself under retirement when you're on fixed income. And as we were talking about this, earlier, we wanted to let veterans know, especially during that later third and fourth quarter of their lives, there are some things there they can avail themselves of. First review that we talked about when we were here before, when you look at the VA, the big VA webpage, they do talk about senior veterans. And basically the benefits they're talking about there for elderly veterans are aid attendance and the VA healthcare for veterans, which is geriatrics care, nursing homes and stuff like that. When you go to the Texas benefits for older veterans, specifically what you're looking at, what do we use? The state cemetery program and the state veterans home program. And during our discussions, we come across that again, simple things like veterans in many areas don't know about state veteran homes. I gave you an example of myself. I helped 2 families in the Houston area get family members in the new state veteran home in Houston. And when I was talking to them, because it was at the point when their fathers and grandfathers were getting old and couldn't take care of themselves at home, they didn't even know that the new home was there in Houston. So there's a gap out there where people don't know what's going on. We also discussed in the past that many veterans don't realize they can go back later on and try to get their claims updated to increase their disability. And we talked about that fear veterans have with applying later on and saying, well, they may reduce me. So instead of, when their conditions are getting worse, especially as they're over 55 and all, there's a fear out there of utilizing those benefits. So that the targeted outreach was to say, and then we know when they have the TAP briefings and they're getting out, when they're 17, 18, whatever, on that first tour, they get inundated with VA and state benefits where people tell them about that. But what happens 15, 20, 30 years later? Are they forgetting that those benefits out there? So this was a way of seeing how we could target it. First thing I'd like to discuss on that and go there is, what would you use when you were having a targeted outreach? And I'll ask you, and I'll tell you what I've seen, and I'll ask you on the discussion what you've seen. When I go through different websites, kind of like Larry said, there's a potpourri of stuff out there, but I found very few places where you see like the big list of Texas veterans benefits in there in one place. I did find a couple of county websites, and Tarrant County was one of them. And I'll give that to Angela so she could have that as part of the minutes, where they list the title of the webpage was Veterans Benefits for the State of Texas. And it goes from property tax exemption, disabled vet tags, parking privileges for disabled veterans, specialty license plates, free license plates, veteran employment services, Texas veteran cemeteries, state homes, home improvements, home improvement loans, land purchase, fishing licenses, we want them, concealed handgun fees, state park admission. So it's a whole lot of stuff out there that you can get if you're a veteran of Texas that comes under that rubric of either the state giving it or a county or a state agency, and looking at how we could have outreach materials that whoever is doing the targeted outreach could use. So my 2 cents in, I'll open up a discussion. My thing would be is, if you're asking people to target and to do outreach, that you got to give them something to outreach with. So what I was at, Angela, what we were talking before was talking about, that's when we mentioned, could you have a YouTube video? Because there's one out there for the VA on senior veterans that we could gear one up that an outreach person can do. All they have to do is hit the button, or a family member go on YouTube and see those out there. And if there was, again, like the state of Tarrant County had, no, Larry, here you go again, Larry, another thing on the webpage, another tab that somebody could sit in there and hit, that somebody could go in there and see that those are veterans outreach materials are, the outreach material will show veterans what they can get as a Texas veteran. So there are some things out there. There's not a centralized place on it. and TVC is the overall, I see as a parent organization, but telling veterans in Texas what they could do, how we can help TVC put some stuff out there so someone in a Ball County out in the west and then have to try to find the Tarrant County site, to look on there to have it on the state site. So I'd like to open discussion on what you think about as far as type of materials that they could use for outreach when they're doing a target outreach. Comments?
I mean, I really like the idea of, I don't know, I mean, it is like Larry was saying earlier with entrepreneurship is like, at what point, where do you stop? Like there's other resources at the federal level or in their communities. I mean, it's just a lot. So at what point do you, at what point do you stop? But I know that people are wanting this information, not even just veterans 55 and older. Like this will all benefit all veterans. But I kind of like the idea of putting it on the website to at least start it, is to get that information out there. I'm part of like, I don't even know how many social media pages, some of them tailored to disabled veterans and filing claims, some about land grants, home improvements, this and that. I mean, like you name it, there's a page out there for it, but there's not really one place where it all lives. So, I mean, but as far as reaching people 55 and older, I mean, there's definitely some opportunities there in DAVs and Legions and VFWs and I mean other groups to share this information. And that's kind of what we're for too, right? I'm always sharing information that comes across my desk, but there's not one place where it all lives for Texas that I found anyway.
Right.
I looked at the TVC elderly page, and there's a lot of information there already, like assisted living, home care, long-term care, the utilization of helping veterans for ramps for their wheelchairs and stuff like that. But like everybody else says, any additional information that's available that may not be on the TVC elderly website yet, can be added. I'm all for it.
Where are you seeing TVC, like the elderly page?
I just on the link, I just put elderly, and it took me right to the page.
Okay.
And that's another thing about TVC, the website. When I was looking at it this morning, any keywords I was able to type in the search, it was taking me directly to those points.
Yeah. Well, that's great. I think it's pretty well segmented though at the top when you're looking for stuff, but I mean, even if we had some like other types of resources, for this and that.
Yes.
The IT guys will tell you, there's certain ways, like Lee was talking about, you key into certain words and it'll start steering you to a spot in there. And what I found, and being an elderly 73-year-old veteran myself, when I with my group out there, everything's fine when things are cool. What happens is when people are starting to crash and burn, that the family members who are not veterans, they have no idea where the heck to go. My dad just died 2 years ago. He was a World War II veteran in '95. So I had the luxury of, my dad was a World War II veteran, and I was a Vietnam era, and my grandfather was World War I. So, and I had another uncle in Korean War. So we had veterans in my family. So I kind of had an idea of where to go. But we're having out there now, I think the last number I saw said only like 2% of the people serve. This ain't like after World War II when everybody had an uncle or a cousin or whatever who had been in the military. The family members are sitting out there, and the veteran that his or herself is the senior needing the help, and the family has no idea where to go. So it may be the 19-year-old kid, the grandkid or whatever that's trying to hit something on the computer saying, hey, where can I get some help? Or is the kid like my cousin, for example, my cousin whose husband was 100% service-connected veteran who did get admitted to the state home. She hadn't heard about that until I told her about it. And what was really crazy is not just the family members, some of the people you would think would know. My cousin's husband was on the board and Michael DeBakey. And they were talking about putting him in placing him in a nursing home where the social worker had the list. And I told my cousin, ask her, is the state home that's like 4 miles down the road on the list? And it wasn't. And again, I tell the story, not trying to slam Michael DeBakey, but I told her when that list they gave you, my cousin was in Houston. They had a couple of places in Houston. They had one in Liberty. They had one in Port Arthur. And I said, all that, I said, those are contract nursing homes. You got the state home right there. He's a 100% service connected veteran. So I said, ask her about that one. When she asked the social worker about the availability of that one, the social worker said, well, I'll have to see if they have a dementia ward, which means you didn't know, which means you had a state home, brand new with all the facilities, and the people in the social work service didn't have that on the list instead of going to these places and say they're contract homes, they had that in there. So it's not just the veterans and their family members, but it's the people in the VA system that don't know about state benefits. It's the because I was with Big VA for 23 years, and Big VA doesn't really look at state benefits except they'll talk about the state veterans home, but that's kind of all what they really know about the state benefits. So you can't depend on the VA people, the big VA people, to always know what's available in the state. They tell you, go to your state, and the state will tell you. Well, Angela can't be on the phone with everybody every day. So that's where I think the more we could get on the website that will be out there. So again, I got the Tarrant County thing that it lists about 18 or 19 different things, states that with your permission, I'll give that to Angela, and she can look at that and look with the IT people. And you could have that with links that takes people to that as a tool. And then see how they would put that on the TBC website. And then so that gives you something to use when you're doing the outreach. Can we talk now about mechanisms on how you could see doing targeted outreach to that senior group of veterans? What are ways that you guys think we could put in the minutes to do the outreach if we fine tune the tools?
Angela, Jim Cunningham. Does TVC still provide programs or discussions on radio stations, particularly in South Texas? I seem to recall that TVC was involved in various radio stations in South Texas where they put out information about services that TVC offers and things like that, and honed in on various things. Does that still happen, or do you know?
Yes, sir, it does. We have our podcast, which one of our communication specialists creates, and she also puts out those podcasts to 3 iHeartRadio clusters. So a fairly large region. One of them is in Waco, another of them is in the Corpus Christi area. The third one, I believe, is Bryan College Station. But again, it's also, we've got some reach a little bit here, even at KUT and a couple of the Austin-based ones. So yes, we do that. And if you guys want to call on me as well, for any other, first of all, what all our communications department does, as well as any thoughts that I have, please let me know too, if you'd like me to contribute like that.
Well, I was just thinking that might be a good way to maybe hone in on benefits for veterans over 55 and inform that those things are available. The other thing I was thinking about too, there are various organizations that provide services to families for somebody who is aging out. And I'm wondering if we have the capability of maybe working with or contacting those people to talk to them about the services that are available through TVC for veterans. And I'm thinking too, like, you walk around sometimes and you see these little pamphlets that are free that talk about seniors and talk about different organizations that work with seniors or homes or whatever. I'm wondering if those magazines that are out there available to the public would be a place that we could put some sort of a one-pager in or something like that to say, hey, if we're talking about a veteran, here's what we can do. This is what the state can do. This is what the feds can do, you know, that sort of thing. So I think there are various things that could be done that way, particularly for that family member that has no idea what is available to that veteran and doesn't know exactly where to go. It might be a trigger to get them to come to TVC to talk about it or look at the website and try to figure out some things that'll help them.
One of the areas we talked about, Andrew, before you got here was, the chairwoman, getting a letter or something out to the county judges. Again, you know, go at the 50,000 foot level. So we have the tools for them. You know, if we're saying there's a need for seniors in this case, I know the chairwoman just sent a Memorial Day message out, tied in maybe to Veterans Day, because Memorial Day is for the ones that's already dead. But a letter going out to county judges saying, you know, TVC/state has many benefits. Well, please share this with your constituents, because most counties have some type of veterans offices. But again, people out in the field, you know, they're running copies of the VA webpage. They're running copies of the handbook. You know, they stopped printing. Big VA stopped printing umpteen thousands of veteran benefits books because they found out people were leaving them on the tables and all. They want the one page out of it. So that's how they started switching to more of the fact sheets on the webpage, where a person can go get the fact sheet. But again, 50,000 foot level, if we could look at, once you figure out from our recommendations, this is the list of benefits and who you get it from that's there. How do we get the word out? The next, from the state level now, is you look at hierarchy, state levels to county. So what we could provide to the county judges to say, here's the stuff, send your people there. And then the local people be using that. The other group that TVC has input with is county service officers. So if you got it on the website, that whoever wants to use it, whether it's a pastor or whatever, can go there and get it, because they don't have to try to find it. If you got it on the website where they can do it, and you steer the county judges to get their people to go there. And we've got the county service officers that meet with you guys here. To me, it's the logical thing that our committee has recommended, you know, targeted it, that you got the boots on the ground with the service officers, that they'd be probably, you know, your main foot soldiers out there when they're bringing people in, not just to say, I'm doing a head count of X number of veterans, but we have targeted outreach when I am doing outreach to at least say, okay, now I'm gonna do at least, you know, one out of a quarter, one out of a year. That is a senior one, where at least you can see the county service officers have made a concerted effort to do a senior outreach. I know when I was in Big VA, the secretary said he wanted to do something with the homeless. Well, I had 300 coordinators out there with the Center for Minority Veteran Program coordinators. So we put it in their performance plan that they had to do at least one homeless outreach per quarter. So I don't care what you did all during the year, you got quarterly reports coming in and you're going 5 or 6 places. But when we put on there, whatever the heck you're doing a quarter, you know, make one of them a homeless outreach, then you start to get the body count with that. You know, just to put it on their radar, where if you just tell people to do homeless outreach and they say, yeah, then at the end of the year, I think did one over 12 months over 4 quarters. So put it up. So to summarize, we get a tool out there, an outreach tool for them on the website that you guys agree with. Because again, it's not creating something new, it's just taking the stuff that's put it on there to give them the tools and work with the county service officers. And maybe if you think it's okay for the chairwoman to send something out to the county judges to say, this is that target population, seniors, that we've identified a need, they're 30-some-odd% of your veteran population, and try to work with them. Does that make sense? Any other discussion? So to roll it back, what are we looking at first? The outreach tool, including the federal benefits and the 2 areas in the federal benefits, and then something that lists in one place all these programs that seniors could use, and then going to the service officers and the county judges to say, here's the tools you could have to use to give veterans that information. That sounds reasonable.
Yeah.
So for the minutes, can we say that that's our recommendation instead of writing this up again, that this will be in the minutes, that we utilize this information that's out there to get this information on the website? And then after it's on the website, that we utilize the service officers and maybe something from TVC to the county judges to let the people know that information is out there. That good?
Is it that particular document? Is it which one?
Example. There may be others out there that did find this. It's like pointed to, you know, this, it may be something missing, but we could use that as a baseline that we found.
Okay, just
Yeah.
put it in this, we would, yes, sir.
I know Claims already has a document like this that they disseminate to people when they're writing the claims for them. That's all that information is.
You see, and that's, you know, that's the thing about, you know, just like Larry was saying, there's a lot of stuff. The more you get out there on the internet, you find there are things there. So the older I found is at 73, somebody's done something that I thought about would be a good idea before I got here. So if this is already in the system, then it's not creating it. But again, just putting a light on it so people can know it's there.
And if I may, as you know, communications director, when you do a rollout of something, especially if it's targeted outreach, it can really enhance it if you make it a campaign. So it's good to know if we already have something that's out there as a starting point and something that you can target on a website. That could be, whether it's put in a pamphlet or brochure at this point, it'd be best for us to keep it on the website. But, you know, to do it as a rollout, so something that we actually target to media too, to let them know, hey, we're focusing on our aging senior population, especially with Vietnam War era veterans. We've got a lot of them who are now over 55. You know, so in that case, you know, some of our resources that we have in communications include, as you mentioned, the radio and the podcast. We have our eVets newsletter. We are the ones who manage the website, so the content comes through us. Additionally, of course, again, media outreach, we record videos as well, social media. So, you know, my suggestion again, from a communication standpoint, would be rolling this out as a campaign rather than dribbling it out. And yes, I do have contacts, you know, through Laura Bivens, with our claims department, who can reach out to all the VCSOs. I'm not sure where the list of all the county judges is, but I'm sure that they have probably access to it somewhere. But again, we've got about 182 counties that have veteran county service officers, and in total, I think it's about 250 with their assistants added in. So, I mean, it's definitely something we can send to them, but my thought again is make sure that we've got the product that we want before we launch it, so that we can launch it all together with all those various different pieces. If that includes, again, message from the chairwoman, you know, we, like you said, we just recorded her Memorial Day one, an eVets article, make sure it's on the website, and maybe something that could be, you know, it's a little document. And then the other resource that should be mentioned as well, because we help manage the content for this, is the Texas Veterans Portal. It's managed by the Department of Information Resources. It was mandated, I don't remember which legislative session, but we actually recently updated all the information there too, because we have our resource page, but then we're also responsible for ensuring that the resource pages on the Texas Veterans Portal are up to date as well. So that's something else that we can put in a request to DIR for, and their subcontractor Deloitte will change it for us. So again, a lot of different facets of different things that we can hit. So just want to throw that out there.
So basically what I've heard is, what are you gonna do? First, you got 37% of your Texas state veteran population is over 55. That's so 37% of the veterans are over 55. We know there's a lack of awareness because there's been umpteen awareness studies out there that people don't know what their benefits is. And if they're over 55, they're in the third or the fourth quarter of their lives, and if they don't get the benefits by now, they ain't gonna get them. So we've identified a large number of veterans who have probably a need to utilize benefits. We know there's a lack of awareness. Boom. So now the next thing to do is do an assessment on what we already have available for the tools, and then to launch a program.
Correct.
And that's up to you guys how to do it. But I think the biggest thing is now as the committee, what we've identified is a need for a targeted outreach, mechanism or system to 37% of your state population. And how we go through that, what we use, a lot of that stuff is there. But, you know, so we first, the biggest thing I think as a committee, we know we've identified a need. We've identified a need, and now we go into the execution on how do we satisfy that need.
Absolutely. One other thing I'd be remiss if I didn't mention, because we do literally have an MOU with them too, is the VLB, which of course houses a large amount of the services we're discussing, both with, you know, the assisted living homes and the cemeteries and some of those. So the VLB, of course, could probably assist us with outreach for this as well. So again, COM stands at the ready if you would like us to give you a campaign outreach plan for the next meeting, or how you would like.
Yeah. It's more like I briefed the commissioners, what I like to be able to say is that, you know, we've identified a need, the advisory committee has identified a need, that 37% of our veterans out there are over 55. We know from history there's a lack of awareness of benefits in general, but we want to target on what we're talking about, state benefits, and that we're talking to you guys to how we can use the assessment, use the outreach tools we have, and then how we can do a launch to do a targeted outreach to them. And that's what we try for. Okay, so that's what I propose to say tomorrow. Do you guys agree with that?
Agree with that.
Okay, so do we need a vote on that, Counselor?
I would,
All right, so
please for a motion.
yeah, so to summarize it again, what I want to entertain a motion that we've identified that 37% veteran population is over 55, that there's a need to improve or enhance, let's say enhance. There's a need to enhance outreach to this elderly veterans, and that we're gonna ask TBC to look at the outreach materials we have then, and after they're fine-tuned, to develop a targeted outreach launch to this veteran population.
So what's the motion?
The motion is to be fine-tune an outreach to veterans over 55. Using the assessment tools, using the outreach materials we have and the assets available to TBC. So can we have that as that's my motion.
I would just add to fine tune and enhance.
Pardon?
Fine-tune, enhance, how would you want to word
To fine tune and enhance the existing TVC, you know, veteran information targeted for veterans over 55 years of age.
I would advise it, just recommend it to TBC.
it? Yeah. Counselor here said, again, have a targeted, let's say, observable and measurable objective would be to recommend to TVC that this committee recommends to TVC that we conduct a targeted that TVC conducts a targeted outreach to veterans over 55 using available outreach materials and collaborations with partners out in the state.
Excellent.
That was good.
Excellent.
You got that?
Such a man with words.
I make a motion that we approve the wording for that.
I second.
Any comment, question? All in favor?
Aye.
That recommendation I just said, all opposed? That is our recommendation. That's 23 years work with the VA. I had to go back in the memory banks. Okay, all right, to me, that covers our agenda item 7 on looking at targeted outreach. This brings us to agenda item 8, discussion for future agenda items and location and date for our next meeting. I think we got at least one segue in that Angela's kind of volunteered and kind of said it. I don't know if you heard it, is that on our next session, we get a follow-up on how TBC wants to respond to our targeted outreach to the 55 population. And the other thing I think is the veteran entrepreneur guys, since we've now formally give them recommendations, they give us some follow-up on what they thought about our recommendations for the entrepreneur program. So that'd be two items. Follow up from TVC on, planned action on our recommendation on targeted outreach, and, follow up from the entrepreneur program on the recommendations that we just formally submitted to them.
Communication.
Communication.
And Earl,
Yeah.
there's I don't think we've done anything specifically within the mental health advocacy or specifically within the women veterans. And I know those are two specific departments as well within TVC. So I would like to, see how we can support in those areas once we kind of get past this entrepreneurship focus.
So, for the consideration of time, what about this? We've got to follow up on the entrepreneur program and to follow up with the targeted outreach. What about asking for the Women's Veterans Coordinator to kind of give us an overview of the program before we make recommendations, and then tell us what she's doing, and then we go from there?
I'll get a hold of Dr. Costello.
How about that?
That's what
Would that be okay? So
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so three topics: follow up on the targeted outreach to over 55, follow up on our recommendations for entrepreneur program. In fact, a lot of them been done. They've been floated around on there because, the program person for entrepreneur was been working with us, so she already jumped ahead on a lot of the stuff already. So those two, and then the third thing would be receiving an overview of the Women's Veteran Program.
Appreciate it.
All right, so I propose that those three topics be the ones for the next meeting. Do you folks agree? Do you have any
Not
others?
so move.
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, so we got our three topics for next time. When was the next commissioners meeting so we could have ours the day before?
It's, August.
Give it 1 minute to look to see what the next meeting is.
They might not have officially said it yet, honestly.
That's true.
Because it's not on my calendar either. I'm gonna ask Dan Cheryl real fast on Messenger, but they decide until tomorrow, unfortunately. We could base it on, obviously.
Day before, can we just say, for the purpose of the minutes here, that ours will be in August, the day before the commissioners meeting, and then we'll send that announcement out. Is that good?
Sounds great to me.
Be the same time, same place, be 10 o'clock on the day before the commissioners meeting in August, and it's probably gonna be, and looking at where this is, it's probably gonna be what? Normally it's about the second week in August, isn't it?
Correct. Most likely it'll be
So-
either the Monday, the 12th or Wednesday, the 14th. They keep going back between Tuesday and Thursdays with commission meetings.
Mhm. So it's
So
one
should
of
we
those
meet
two.
on the 8th or the 9th?
Yeah,
Oh, no,
Oh,
that
no.
would have you meeting on the 12th or the 14th.
yeah.
No, I'm saying, should we meet on the
Yeah.
8th or the 9th?
The day before, yeah, you want to make the tentative for the minutes, have the tentative date, and then we'll finalize it.
I think you just did, didn't you?
Yeah, I'd say the tentative dates should be the 12th or the 14th,
Yeah.
so that you don't have to travel back and forth
Yeah,
in separate weeks.
yeah. So tentative for us will be either the 12th or the 14th.
Or you say just the day before.
Yeah, we'll just say, for the purpose of the meeting, we got three topics, the review of the entrepreneur program recommendations we submitted, the review of what TVC thinks the targeted outreach will be, and then a overview for the women's veterans. That are 3 topics. And the date will be either the 12th or the 14th of August. We'll send the notice out.
Okay.
Okay.
Got it.
All right. We got that straight. Next, do I hear a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
We said that.
Second, do I hear a second?
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Nay? Thanks a lot, folks. It's kind of artificial seeing you on the screen. I want to reach out and hug you. You're like that.
Y'all welcome to come here in person in August, so.
Yeah, she's not forgetting you. You need to let her know up front if you need to come in. And just, depending on where they would it be using the option that you give me now to come in the day before, so that I try to leave home at night. Yeah, and what worked better for you guys has been home for a while, before we had things where we were finding the hotel and all that stuff. You let Angela know far enough ahead of time that she used her TVC credit card instead of us trying to find a hotel in there in the same place.
I'll go get it. It's all good to go.
Yeah. That worked out pretty well before we were hitting town and trying to find a place, and the budget guy was saying it was too expensive and it's crazy, but it working out fine. All right, folks, thank you for your time. I'll see you.
Thank
in
you.
August.
Thank you for all your work,
you.
Earl.
Thank you. Have a good day.
All right.
Thank you